Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back another video day, and today the Houston Texans are playing the Chicago Bears in the Hall of Fame game, and Houston Texans football is back. Not only are we celebrating Texans football and football in general being back, but we are celebrating arguably the best Texan of all time, who's going into the Hall of Fame and is the first Houston Texan to get elected into the Hall of Fame, Andre Johnson. I want to congratulate Andre Johnson. Had a great career and definitely deserved to be elected into the Hall of Fame. And I can't wait to see him officially get elected into the Hall of Fame on Saturday. But this is the game that we will see, and I'm excited to see the Texans football back tonight. Obviously, I know the starters aren't going to be playing. You're not going to see C.J. Stroud, Joe Mixon, or the three best wide receivers. The three, in my opinion, the best wide receiver trio in the NFL with Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and Stephon Diggs. And then you can go and look at Chicago, and I think they have the second best, wide receiver trio in the NFL with DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Rome Odunze. I mean, these are, I think the Bears and the Texans have the two. If you ask me, I think the Texans have the two. The Texans and the Bears have the two most talented wide receiver rooms. But we're not going to see those guys out there tonight. We're not going to see the Bears starters. We're not going to see the Texans starters. But I think the interesting thing is both teams have a lot of depth to the point where you're going to still see some interesting players out on the field if you're going to see guys on the second team for both teams. I mean, you want to start off with the Texans. Look at the Texans at the quarterback position. Davis Mills is an interesting player to watch. Texans also have Case Keenum. They have Tim Boyle, who started a couple of games last year with the New York Jets. So there's interesting depth at the quarterback position. You can look at the running back position for the Houston Texans. I don't know if he'll play, but the Texans have Dameon Pierce at running back. I think he will play. They have Cam Akers. They drafted Jawar Jordan from Louisville. They also have Dre Ungbalaway. There are other players at the running back position for the Texans that are not, a starter. You can look at the wide receiver position, which is another really interesting position for the Texans, where you could see some players who play. Robert Woods, John Mechie, Noah Brown, Xavier Hutchinson. I think for sure Xavier Hutchinson's going to play. I think John Mechie should play. I'm not sure on that one, though. I don't know about Robert Woods and Noah Brown, though. But, I mean, I don't know if those guys play because they're, kind of more veterans, but they're not starters because of Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, and Nico Collins being starters. I think last year, of course, I think Robert Woods and Noah Brown were potentially considered starters because, obviously, the Texans didn't have Stephon Diggs. Even though Tank Dell's great now, he was a rookie, wasn't really considered as a starter. So I think the three, I'm not going to say the three best wide receivers on the Texans roster in the preseason last year, but I think the three best wide receivers in the Texans, had, in the depth chart were Nico Collins, Robert Woods, and Noah Brown. And then Tank Dell kind of, in the beginning of the season around week 3, week 4, really started to play well and got more playing time. So I don't know if we'll see Robert Woods or Noah Brown. Those are guys who are listed as the wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 in the wide receiver room. So, but there's other talent at the wide receiver position for the Houston Texans. So they have a heavy room, total of 12 wide receivers on their roster. So and there's only 3 that we know for sure that aren't going to play with Diggs, Dell, and Collins. You can even go look at the tight end position. If starters aren't playing, that means Dalton Schultz isn't playing. So does that mean Brevin Jordan's going to get some action tonight? You also have Kate Stover, the rookie from Ohio State from the 4th round. He'll definitely play. Tegan Quintanaro. And, we can go to the defense. There's a lot of depth in the defense. I want to go over the Bears as well. I mean, look at the Bears. A couple of positions I looked at was look at the running back position for the Bears. They have Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson. If the Bears aren't playing their starters, that means Swift isn't playing. DeAndre Swift isn't playing. The Bears also have Roschon Johnson and Khalil Herbert. You can look at their wide receivers as well. obviously Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, who just got a big contract, and Roma DeZoon aren't going to be playing, but they have some talented other players in the wide receiver room. They have DeAndre Carter, a former Houston Texan. They drafted Tyler Scott last year in like the 6th round. They have Velus Jones Jr. They have Dante Pettis, who, interesting enough, us Houston sports fans love Dante Pettis because I don't know how many people know this, but Dante Pettis is Gary Pettis' son, the Houston Astros third base coach. But yeah, Dante Pettis, Gary Pettis' son. Also, Colin Johnson, as a Longhorns fan, that is a former Texas Longhorn. So there are some interesting wide receivers in the wide receiver room for the Bears, at least for Texans fans, where you got DeAndre Carter, former Texan, Dante Pettis, a guy who is the Houston Astros third base coach, Gary Pettis' son, and then Colin Johnson, if you're a Texas Longhorn fan, former Longhorn. And then even go to the tight end position for Chicago, if we're going to go even farther. Obviously, Cole Kmet, a starter, won't be playing for Chicago. Don't expect him to play, of course. But let's not forget, they just signed Gerald Everett and Mercedes Lewis. So you could see those two guys play today. So it's going to be interesting. It really is going to be interesting to see, who some of these guys, if some of these guys don't play that aren't starters, because both teams, like I mentioned, have a lot of depth. And you're going to see some interesting players who were starters for their teams last year still get some action. Like Gerald Everett was a starter last year for the Los Angeles Chargers at tight end. He could be playing as the backup tight end tonight since their starters aren't playing. For the Bears, Khalil Herbert is now the backup running back. He was the starting running back for Chicago last year. You can go to the Texans at the wide receiver position. Texans had Noah Brown, who was a starter for most of the year last year. Robert Woods was even a little bit of a starter last year at the wide receiver position for the Texans. Now both of those guys are higher up in the depth chart at wide receiver. I think that's really the only example I could come up with. No. I guess you could say Dameon Pierce at running back, but he became the backup running back late in the year. I just think it's going to be an interesting game because even though you're not going to see the starters, you're not going to see CJ, you're not going to see Joe, you're not going to see the wide receiver trio of Tank Dell and Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs. You're not going to see defensively Will Anderson Jr., Daniil Hunter, the household names. You're not going to see those guys, but you're going to still see some interesting players on the field who will make some noise, and I'm excited to see it. And I think the same thing for the Chicago Bears as well. For the Texans, they're starting Davis Mills in this game. And then for the Bears, they're starting second-year quarterback Tyson Bagent, who got to start a couple games last year when Justin Fields got hurt. I like both quarterbacks. I think both quarterbacks showed some good things the last time we saw them. I thought Davis Mills was pretty solid last year in the preseason and this year in training camp. I thought Bagent, for a rookie, didn't do terrible. I mean, he wasn't good, but with a bad offense as a rookie, not bad. Mills, it didn't look amazing the last time we saw him actually start on the field, like in 2022. But for a young player with a bad offense, not terrible as well. And now Davis Mills going into his 4th year. It's going to be interesting to see how he plays. So I'm excited to see Davis Mills start. Davis Mills didn't start any of the preseason games last year. C.J. Stroud was able to start all of those because he was a rookie. But now that C.J.'s going into his 2nd year, Texans are not going to play him every single preseason game. So Davis Mills has a little bit of an opportunity to get some more playing time. I'm excited to see it. And then Case Keenum as well. Excited to see him play. But I'm excited for everybody that touches the field tonight. Just excited for Texans football to be back. Football in general, I wouldn't care if this was not the Texans. I'd still be watching this game. I always love watching the Hall of Fame game because it's like football's back. Getting into predictions, I want to see the Texans win, but this is not really a game where you're like, I want us to win. It's more of a thing where I want to see good things from guys. I want to get to see, some guys that I've been excited to watch do some good things. Obviously, a win probably would come with that, but I just want to go, I just want to see the team play well. If the team plays well and they lose, I don't care. It's preseason. So, but I'm excited. I mean, I'm going to give you what time the game is on and, what channel it's on. It's on ESPN and ABC at 7 Central Time. And, so that's where you can watch the game. But I'm excited. I'm so excited for Texans football to be back. A couple players. I'm going to give you 3 players offensively and defensively to go out there and watch. I think will be interesting to keep an eye out on. Offensively, keep an eye out for Davis Mills. I'm excited to see how he does. Dameon Pierce. We've been hearing good things at training camp. Xavier Hutchinson, I think he's got a lot of pressure on him going into, a tight wide receiver room. He's got a lot of pressure on him. This could be his chance to make some noise tonight. Then defensively, Khalil Davis. There's a little bit of open room in the defensive tackle room. Sheldon Rankins and Malik Collins are gone. Malik Collins traded. Sheldon Rankins left in free agency. Now Danico Autry's been suspended. He was potentially going to start at defensive tackle. Khalil Davis looked solid last year, getting 2 sacks and 32 tackles. Looked good in the preseason last year as well with a sack. Watch out for Khalil Davis. He might make some noise for the Houston Texans. Also, Kalen Bullock, the rookie safety. Excited to see what he can do. There's been a lot of noise about him in training camp so far. Excited to see what happens with him. I want to pick one cornerback as well, since this is a really tight Texans cornerback room, and there's a lot of battle going on in there. Watch out for C.J. Henderson. I think he's a guy who could make some noise as well. Let me know your thoughts on the game in the comment section. That's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace out. Go Texans.